Hi everyone, welcome to Blender tutorial on using geometry nodes. Today I will show how to create particle system effect using geometry nodes. We will cover the basic workflow and I will be using free BlenderKit models through its extension. In this video we will go over how to set things up and then explore how to use multiple collections as well as how to use weight prints to limit the particles to specific regions. So let's get started. Open new project and delete the default cube first, and then add a plane and scale it up. Then press tab to enter edit mode. Then subdivide the plane so we can apply weight painting later. For this example, I will set it to 100 divisions, but you can choose a number that suits your needs. Then return to object mode. Now we are set. Next step, let's add models to the project. So we will use grass models. So I will be using BlenderKit extensions for this tutorials through which you can use other models as well. But yeah, for first I will be using BlenderKit extensions. First filter for free assets. For now, I'll be using low poly model so we can render the scene quickly without excessive load time. Additionally, using weight print will allow us to dynamically add or remove particles. I will just scroll through models. I know some of the low sizes models in BlenderKit. I will just search and download them. So I have downloaded the two models. Let's start using them. Both models have been added to the scene. Scale the smaller one up slightly. Now setting up geometry nodes. So first navigate to the geometry nodes tab. We won't use the left sidebar. We can merge it with the 3D viewport. Now adjust the viewport so the entire ground is visible. Upon entering the geometry nodes, you will see that group input is connected to group output. We will make adjustments between these two nodes. So let's start distributing points. So to distribute points, add the distribute points on faces node between group input and group output. This will automatically connect the nodes when placed between them. Next, add an instance on points node between distribute points on faces and group output. Be sure to check pick instances so that objects are used as instances. At this point, we will see the ground disappeared. So this is because the node replaces the original geometry with the instances. Essentially, the instances on points node take the distributed points and assign new objects to them, overriding the original mesh. So, so for restoring the ground to get the plane, to resolve this issue, add a join geometry node and connect group input and the instances or points. So we will see our full structure. Now add grass models. So first let's add the green grass leaves model. While in geometry nodes, drag the green leaf collection into the geometry nodes editor. It will appear as a collection. Then attach the instance output of collection info to instances on points. The grass will now be randomly scattered across the plane or ground, similar to how a particle system works. Now adjust the density of particles by modifying the density parameter in the distribute points on faces mode. Increasing the value adds more leaves while reducing it decreases the quantity. So it depends what you want. We can adjust the density. Now we can see like rotation and scale. It's look like a very symmetrical things. So to avoid this, to fix that, we can add some variations. We can randomize the rotations and scale. So for that, let's add a random value node, set the type to vector, and connect it to rotation. Now keep the x and y minimum and maximum values at 0. We don't want to anything do randomly on this. Then adjust the z-axis maximum value to 45 degrees to introduce randomness. You can see when we adjust the random value of z-axis rotation, it automatically rotates the leaves. So similarly, we need to vary the size of each instances also. So we can add another random value node and connect it to scale. And then we will configure the minimum and value based on the model's original size. And as soon as you see, it directly changes the sizes of the leaves. We can check the result in shading you've put. It will just show some default material of the models. So like if we switch to shading viewport to see the results more clearly, I haven't added any color to the ground because we are here to focus on geometry nodes. So if you're changing the density will increase, decrease, and grass should be denser while trees should be sparser depending on the scene. So whatever models you're adding based on that, you can adjust the density. Now, organizing nodes. Now, let's group them into a frame and name it green grass. This helps differentiate objects when working with multiple elements. Now, let's follow the same steps for another model, low poly grass mix. Instead of recreating everything, just simply duplicate the green grass frame using Shift D and move it down. Rename it to low poly grass mix. Then remove the previous object and drag the low poly grass mix collection into the editor and attach it. At this point, nothing is visible. To resolve this, change the seed value to alter placement. Scale it slightly as it may be too small. If it's still invisible, ensure it is connected to join geometry. I missed it, so let's connect the join geometry to this node. Now adjust the scale and set the maximum value to 1 because I already scaled it up earlier, so it was looking very big. So just set the maximum value to 1, and then same increasing density works similarly, controlling the amount of grass. Now limiting the grass placement. Now for this, until now the grass has been scattered across the entire ground, but we want it to only in specific areas like those within the camera's view. Scattering objects everywhere increases render time also for complexing, so we can just keep it where we want to focus or camera will be using. So we can use that. So for that, just switch to layout tab, view from the top perspective so the full plane is visible. Now enter the weight paint mode and paint the center of the ground. Red areas indicate high density, yellow areas represent moderate density, and blue zones prevent any objects from appearing. So that's the color code. Next, navigate to data properties of the plane. A vertex group name group is automatically created. Rename it to low polygrass. This will be referenced in the geometry node. So this will name will identify easily like we are using for that particular collection. Now, using weight paint in geometry nodes. So first of all, let's add a one math node and set type to multiply. Now create a new group input values that act as a custom input. Attach the gray output of group input to the first value of math node, and then connect another gray output to the second value. Connect the math node output to the density node so that we can adjust the density from the input value. Now the density of low polygraphs can be adjusted from the modifier tab without having to go to into geometry nodes each time. Now press N in the geometry nodes editor to see the group inputs on the right panel. Rename it rename the attribute so they are identifiable. So let's give the name low poly weight for the first one. So and second density factor which will control the density from the modifier step. Activate the input attribute toggle and enter the vertex group name low polygraphs for the first low poly weight input, and then increase the density as needed. And removing the previous object will help clarify the effect. So let's remove the other previous grass object from the join geometry so we can just focus on this particular weight paint. Now you can see the grass is just scattered across that area only. It's not going outside that. Now if you go to real let's see real time scattering. So now if we have already weight paint and we have attached everything, so we can now just update it directly on the weight paint also. So for that, just set density to 200 and then go to weight paint mode, ensure the correct vertex group is selected, and expand the painted area using paintbrush. Grass will dynamically appear in those areas, and setting the weight paint 0 removes the grass from the specific regions. Just switch to shading viewport to view it with materials. Now we will just render whatever we created. So before rendering, just position the camera so that everything will be visible, and then render the image. Materials and lighting aren't fully configured, but you will see the grass accurately scattered. And EV or GPU cycles both will give the same result. For this low poly models, you can see. Yeah, so that's it for the tutorial. I hope this tutorial helps you understand how to use geometry nodes for object scattering. I will be uploading more animation tutorials, so stay tuned. Please like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.